everyone, it's Mrs. Napolitano. So today we're going to be talking about the SnapGrid feature in Tinkercad. So in front of me I have a completely blank work plane. There's nothing on this work plane. And I just wanted to point out, if I scroll in a little bit, that the work plane is made up of a bunch of different boxes. So I have these larger boxes with a darker blue. And if I look even more closely, there are boxes inside these larger boxes. So each one of these larger boxes, so like this one right here, that actually represents 1 centimeter. Inside the large boxes are millimeters. So there are 10 millimeters per centimeter, and by default, Tinkercad uses millimeters to help you measure your objects. So with that in mind, the SnapGrid feature is found here at the bottom of the screen. It says SnapGrid, and currently it's set to 1 millimeter. So that means that any object you put on the work plane will move 1 millimeter at a time. So for example, if I take this box and I put it on the work plane, and if I move it with my arrow keys, which is what I'm doing, it's actually moving by only 1 millimeter at a time. I don't know if you can see it on the work plane, but it's only moving by 1 millimeter. If I want to make that more precise, however, I can make it move at only 1/4 of a millimeter at a time, or even 1/10 of a millimeter at a time, which will help my movements to be much more precise and specific. So if I click on the SnapGrid, I can change it so it's moving 0.5 millimeters at a time, so 1/2 a millimeter at a time. I can change it so that it's moving 0.25 millimeters at a time, which is 1/4 of a millimeter at a time. So it's moving a lot more slowly. I don't know if you can see there. Or I can even change it so it's moving only 1/10 of a millimeter at a time. So super, super slow and super precise. So something I noticed the other day with your flower buttons is that a lot of you were having trouble putting the cylinder that was meant to be a hole exactly where you want it to be. So right now my SnapGrid is set to 0.1 millimeters, or excuse me, it's set to 1 millimeters. So if I try to move that cylinder so it fits into the orange line, it doesn't fit. I can't get it exactly where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is change my SnapGrid to 0.25 so I can get it as exact as possible. So now you'll notice it's moving a lot more slowly, and I was able to very easily place it inside the orange lines where it should be. So the SnapGrid is a really useful tool that will definitely help you as you continue to learn to design in Tinkercad. Thanks, everybody.